our SRO, Josh Carter, and then of course Mr. O'Rourke is here to answer any specific questions for him as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. Ready to go?
All right, good morning. Thank you for coming. Our procedures today, we're going to talk about safety procedures first. I'm going to go through some information that will review what we do here at Harper Park on a daily basis. And then we'll have our SRO, Josh Carter, come up and talk about his role at Harper Park and on school campuses. And then we'll open the floor up for questions. Okay? All right, so at Harper Park, we have a global view of safety and security. Safety and security is everyone's responsibility. We consider our school safety team to include all of our school administrators, our SRO, our Unified Mental Health team, our school nurse, all of our teachers and staff, our bus drivers. We have LCPS, Safety and Security System, who are on this property almost daily during the day and every evening. We have a high presence from that department. We have additional LCPS departments that support us with safety and security. And then you, as our community, are a vital part of our safety and security team, our school safety team here at Harper Park. So some of the procedures that we go through each day. At the beginning of every school year, we have a grade level assembly where we, for the 6th graders, go over our expectations for each day regarding things that they might come across related to their safety. We talk about see something, say something, behavior out at the bus stops and on the bus and when they get to school, where we expect them to go, what's expected of them as far as staying and the appropriate areas and how they should behave here. And then with our 7th and 8th graders, we're reviewing that information. We also hold a separate bus rider and walkers meeting during that time to talk about behaviors there for those folks. Every day our students come in and they go straight to the welcome zone. At that time, that area is staffed by our deans and a school counselor, often another school administrator. Our SRO walks through those areas. And then we have teachers there, and that gives us an opportunity to check out our kids, just kind of take the temperature of the group that day, maybe see what's going on, take a look at who's coming in with a different issue than they might have had before, or allow them to go out to areas that they need to go to during that 20-minute time. Maybe they need to see a teacher, maybe they need to go get breakfast, maybe they're going to do open gym, but we're in those areas of the school all together to start our day. As they go throughout the building, we start our day asking our students to put their backpacks in their locker, their phones in their locker, and their jackets in their locker. And there are various reasons for doing that, but a main reason is for our safety and security of people in the building. If the backpack's in the locker, then we don't have to worry about what's being carried throughout our school. If the phone's in the locker, then we're not worried about what might be happening there related to social media. Jackets are in the locker. We don't have anybody coming around, with bulky outer garments on that we're not sure maybe what might be in there. And then we also ask on a countywide level that our students not have their hoods up or wear hats. And that is a two-pronged reason. If they have their hoods up and hats in there and we need to help them, let's say they get ill, sick or something, we can't see who that is or who's walking down the hallway that might be helped. And then if we need to identify somebody who is in the building doing something that maybe they shouldn't, if they have a hood or hat on, it's more difficult to do that. So we ask that students do not wear hoods or hats here at Harper Park. We also have supervision all day long throughout our common areas, and of course in our classrooms we have a system for that. People are assigned to areas throughout the day. We have a hall pass system that we've implemented. We're trying to transition from our hall pass system that we use with agendas like a paper pencil one to an electronic one. But we do have a concerted effort to know where students are at all times. If they're not in the classroom, we know where they are. Are they in the clinic? Are they in the bathroom? Are they in the library? We keep track with our hall pass system. And then our students, as needed, have access to deans and counselors all day long, should they need that. All right, you may have received or seen this statement from the county. I wanted to review our procedures as you approach the building. We have the iPhone system, which we've had for many years, where you come to the front of the building and you buzz in like you did this morning. Something that's different this year is we can no longer accept a picture of your photo ID on your phone. Some folks had gone to that route to make it more convenient for themselves, and I understand that, but we now can only accept a hard copy photo ID. So you need to have your driver's license or your passport or whatnot when you come to the building. And we are also asking everyone their reason for their visit. So what business does somebody have that they need to come into the school? Do they have an appointment with a teacher? Are they here to drop off a lunch? But we ask everybody the reason for why they're entering our building each day. And then last year we implemented our Raptor system, and when you come into our building the first time with your identification, we say we Raptor you in, and basically we're putting that identification through a national clearinghouse to identify maybe sex offenders or people that might have other issues related that we wouldn't want them here in the building with our students. All right. For Harper Park, in the last year or two, we've had enhanced security measures. We have a new security camera system. We have a new security alarm system. We have enhanced signage out front. You may have seen the sign that's posted out there and across the back of our property that gives us just basically more teeth when we're dealing with activities related to drugs, alcohol, and maybe gang activity. We have it posted out front that is not welcome here on our property. We have a door alert system here at Harper Park. If any door is ajar more than 1 minute, the safety and security sends us a notification so that we can go check to see what's happening at that entrance. And then a new internet security protocol that we've had for the last school year is we do have a Gaggle monitoring report and alert system, and that is a 24/7 system that the county pays for that monitors what students are doing on their school-issued Chromebook. So if anything comes along, and you may have been involved in a Gaggle alert where you've received a phone call from the school, and they've said, hey, we have an alert, we see your student has typed in an inappropriate word, and it could be something that maybe they're doing a school report on. You know, maybe they're doing something that has the word abuse in it, or something that has the word suicide in it, and it's very innocent, but this system picks that up and shoots it out to us so we can investigate every case where that's being used with a student. And a lot of times the kid's like, oh no, here's my report, here's my topic, and then we can say, okay, we document that it's a known process and move on. But other times we've been able to intervene and help students with some issues that they're facing off of this system. Communication is a big part of safety and security. On the county level, Loudon pushes out alerts, and then there's the LCPS mobile app. If you do not have the LCPS mobile app, I encourage you to get that. You can limit the alerts or the information that you get by just clicking on Harper Park, but I myself have clicked on Harper Park and Tolbert and Cool Spring and Heritage, and anything gets pushed out by those schools I am aware of. I live in the community and I'm here, and I'd like to know, you know, if something's going on that might impact us in some way, so I have all of that on my mobile app so I can see what's happening. We here at Harper Park will push out information out to our parents via Blackboard Connect system, and then we also have some social media venues that we can use to put information out, like Twitter and Facebook, and our UMHT uses Instagram. The county has something new that they've put out regarding safety and security. On September 19th, they released this statement to our public that in conjunction with the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office and the Leesburg Police Department, you have the option to use Safe to Talk. I've put this verbiage on here. If you go to lcps.org, you can look up Safe to Talk. But basically it's a way, it's an app that can be used for students, parents, teachers, and anyone in the community to report safety concerns that might be related to our schools. So if you haven't checked out Safe to Talk, you might want to do that. That's something new as well.
Is it working? Pardon?
Yes.
So the I just happened, so the LCPS, is it called LCPS, Team LCPS? Do you know? Yeah.
I would have to go get my phone.
Okay. No,
It was a
I'm just
big push like last fall, and we all had signs everywhere. I'm sure if you go on, like on the homepage and look around, I can help you with it afterwards.
No worries.
If you
so just-
scroll down
Okay.
a little bit, it's probably there. It's like the third one down under education.
On the Harper Park webpage?
Is it on the Harper Park? Are you on lcps.org or Harper Park?
App Store.
App Store, yeah.
Oh,
that's
App
what
Store.
it's
There you go. Okay. Thank you.
on. Okay, great, thanks.
All right. And so along with the Department of Homeland Security, All local jurisdictions have picked up see something, say something. We say that to our students over and over and over again. Again, we would rather investigate something that was nothing than not to hear about something that was important. So see something, say something on their way to school, see something, say something at the bus stop, see something, say something at the bus, see something, say something outside. That is a mantra that we like our students to follow. If it doesn't seem right, you need to tell somebody. And we would like for y'all to do that as well. All right, our preparation. So I've talked about procedures, I've talked about communication, our preparation for our emergency response to incidents that might happen here while we're at school. We have a certain number of drills that we process throughout the school year as mandated by Loudoun County Public Schools and the Virginia Department of Education. So we are mandated to hold 13 fire drills, 4 lockdown drills, 2 before the 20th day of school, and then 2 shelter-in-place drills that are weather-related. So these drills do they meet other functions. They fulfill other functions for us. When we are practicing our fire drill, that will help us in any instance where we need to remove the students from the building in an orderly fashion. So it might not be a fire, it might be something else, but with our fire drill procedure, they will know how to behave and what's going to happen and where to go, because we do this 13 times, 4 times in September and 1 time a month, every month after that. For our evacuation, should we have to leave this property, when we evacuate the building and it's not just a regular fire drill and we're going out the nearest exit, if we are practicing evacuation, the students eventually go out the nearest exit and they end up on this field. Then they line up by homeroom. Our teachers all have signs. They know what their house homeroom numbers are. And then we would make a decision to evacuate based on whatever the instance was. If we had to get off of the field and we could go to Tolbert, of course we would seek shelter there. We could possibly seek shelter behind us at Caradoc Hall, but most likely if we have buses in the parking lot and we needed to get out of weather or whatnot, we would be contacting safety and security and transportation and just put homerooms on buses until we had a space to go. Either the all clear to come back into the building, or it would be Mr. Gus Martinez, right? It would be our director, and then safety and security and transportation would determine what other LCPS school building is available for us to go to. Heritage would be their first choice, as our community knows Heritage. They know how to get there, they know the staff there, they're familiar with that. But let's say that it wasn't possible for us to get from here to Heritage for some reason, or perhaps they're already taking on another site, we then would default to Riverside High School. So all of that now, because of the way communication works, gets orchestrated based on availability and what's happening and what the instance is. But we have the procedure of our fire drill to evacuate and having the kids with their homeroom teachers alphabetically, and a process that we would go through after the evacuation, that we would either come back into the building or you would be receiving information to come get them, and how that process would work. All right, so that's evacuation. Lockdown, we do practice, as I said, 4 times a year. We have lockdown and we have lockout. So I have, as an assistant principal, been involved in a school lockout 4 separate times. And I would have to say, with the exception of, on a lockout, on a pure lockout, with the exception of students coming to school during that time, the students that were in the school had no idea we were on a lockout. So a lockout situation would happen when we need to not let anybody else into the building. The lockouts that I have experienced, we had an instance at a local high school that was nearby. This was not here, it was in a different part of the county. And we received radio call that something was happening and that we should not let anybody in our building at that time. So we went on lockout. We just stationed our SRO at the front door and administrators in the front lobbies, and when people came, we asked them their business. If they needed a student, we gave them their student, but we didn't let anybody come and go in our building. Here we have had lockouts. We had an event that happened in the parking lot up here at Giant, and we received notification from the local police department, and we went on lockout. And we're very quick to do that. Everybody with the radio knows to go and make sure our doors are secure, not with the door alert, we'll know that, but they check all those doors, and we just don't let anybody in the building, and we don't necessarily let our students out unless a parent is there to take them somewhere. Nobody's gonna walk off if we're in a lockout, right? Because we're in an unsafe outside situation. So, but in those cases, like I say, students that were in the building really had no idea we were in a lockout. We were doing that as a safety precaution. A lockdown, I have never participated in an active live lockdown situation, but we would use a lockdown if we had an intruder into our building, or a reason that we would want to keep students in one location and not have them out and about. We would go into lockdown, and all classroom doors are locked, and the common areas are locked and secured, and we have a method that the students go through that, and the teachers practice every time we have our lockdown drill. We cover windows so somebody passing by couldn't see in. The students are quiet. We ask for no cell phone use, but that's part of our lockdown procedure in that case. You could think of lots of reasons to have a lockdown. It could just be simply we might have a non-custodial parent who is in the building and decides they're going to go looking. So if we've got those windows covered and we have our students quiet and we're not using cell phones, then we can find that person and move them back to the main office and then let students go on about their business. So there are lots of reasons that we might use a lockdown that wouldn't include, an active shooter or some terrible thing that we hear all the time. All right, so shelter in place. For shelter in place, we have 2 shelter in place weather-related drills. We're going to do our earthquake drill on October 17th. That is the Great American Shakeout Day. If you're in a federal or state office building, you might be participating in that also. But basically, we just review the standards, the national standards for what to do if there is an earthquake. And I come on the announcements and announce we're going to practice our earthquake drill procedure. And in that case, they would drop to the ground and they get under a piece of furniture and they hold on until the shaking would stop. We also practice our tornado drill, and that usually happens in March, sometime around the middle of March. And again, that's another statewide process. They'll identify a date. And in that case, we identify places of the building students need to go. If they're in a classroom that has outside windows, then we move those classes to an inside room, or we move them to an inside location, like to the locker area, because you wouldn't want to be near a whole wall of windows if we had a tornado alert. And then the process there is similar to earthquake, but they're just dropping, tucking, and then they cover the back of their head. And they're against a fortified wall, like this wall. But actually, it would be more like that wall, maybe in here, because we got all those windows up there. So anyways, we do have processes, and we don't practice any of this to scare anyone. We practice it for 2 reasons. 1, to make sure they're safe here at school, but 2, we do have a responsibility to educate students as to what they would do out in our community or in a place of business should they be there and there's an emergency. So they could use these procedures in those places too. We would also use weather or shelter in place if we had a hazardous materials situation outside our building. Again, we'd be in communication with other people outside our building, and our shelter in place process might look differently depending on what that is. We might be moving students to the gym area rather than keeping them in classrooms. It would just depend on what the hazardous material was. And then our staff goes through training related to these drills. All of our staff members through their relicensure process are first aid, CPR, and AED trained. And all staff members have gone through the run, hide, and fight training related to an intruder situation that might occur. All right, the next piece is prevention. You've heard a lot about prevention here at Harper Park if you've been to other parent coffees related to what we do with PBIS and our mental health services here in the school counseling department. And we also offer relationship building activities here. I have attended the Mid-Atlantic School Safety Conference over the last couple of years, and at that conference, almost in every single session that you attend, there is a relationship piece. The importance of having a relationship with the students in your building, the importance with students having relationships with the people in their homes, their parents, relationships in the community, relationships with police department, building those relationships so they have trusted adults to go to should they see something and need to say something. So most of the instances that we have at school or in the community are taken care of because someone says, hey, I think so-and-so might have something in their backpack. I think I saw this in the bush at the bus stop. So building the relationships here at Harper Park, we offer lots of programs for students to find a trusted adult or learn skills in which they can use during times where they might need to seek help. So at this time, speaking of relationships, I'd like to introduce our school resource officer, Josh Carter, and he's going to come up and talk about his role here at Harper Park.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So some of you guys have kind of heard my spiel before, but I'd just like to reiterate that my main concern here is for your children. I'm here early almost every day, except for today because I had a difficult time getting my son on the bus. So I'm here every morning, usually 15 minutes early. Our day usually starts at 8. I get here about 8:45, where I'm just driving around both schools here and Tolbert, checking the neighborhoods just to kind of see what the vibe is, if there's any weird stuff going on. People sitting in cars that just kind of look suspicious, I'll have a chat with them and just kind of see what they're doing. And so, you know, as the kids are arriving, I'm usually out front making sure they're good to go, saying hi to them, trying to get a smile out of a kid first thing in the morning. And so just trying to start their day off right and to know that, hey, look, I'm out here, I'm doing what I can to make you safe. Once all the kids come in and they're hanging out in the auditorium or wherever they're supposed to be, I hang out in the 8th grade area, then I move down the 7th and then the 6th grade houses, just so that they can see that I'm around. Once they're in the classrooms, that's when I do a little bit more of a safety check. So I'm checking the doors, making sure teachers are good to go, the doors on their hallway, the perimeter doors. And sometimes there are doors that are left kind of ajar from either maintenance or, you know, safety security was here the night before. Maybe it just missed a door. But I can assure you that safety security checks all these schools all day long. So if I'm in my office checking cameras, there's been times where they've sent me a text and said, hey, look, I just checked and one of the maintenance doors was unlocked. They'll lock it for us, that type of thing. So, you know, we have a really good relationship with safety and security, and they're here for our children as well. I have a son that goes to Catoctin, and you know, believe me, safety is on the forefront of my mind every day. And so, you know, I feel your all's pain sometimes when you hear things, and you know, my wife starts sending me text messages and asking me what's going on, and so I get it. Wanted to reiterate what Mary Beth had mentioned about the security cameras that we have here at the school. So there's 2 systems. There's a system in the main office that they can access, and then there's a system in my office as well, where I have 2 monitors that, you know, I can check and kind of just see what's going on around a perimeter, so I don't necessarily have to do a lot of walking. Usually what I do is I kind of have a system every day where once the kids are in classrooms and I've done my check, I go back, kind of do a rewind. I'll look at what's kind of going on in each house. Rewind, go to house C. Rewind, go to house B, that type of deal, just to see if there's anything stirring, you know, kids kind of huddling up that kind of look a little interesting that maybe I need to keep an eye on for the day. You know, you never know what could pop off during the day. I know we're in middle schools, and, you know, knock on wood, we haven't had any issues this year. I attest that to the amount of us that are visible and walking around and that are standing there. And if we see kind of kids starting to huddle, I'll jump in and be like, man, what's going on? What do I need to know what that text is about? And they're like, no, I'm good. Like, and then they all scatter, and, you know, crisis averted, I guess. So I'm on a multiple level of things at LPD. So I'm also involved in our Explorer program, which I'm an advisor there. So that's a program for high school students that are interested in law enforcement. So we have a lot of kids we have diverse kids from every high school in this county. It's not just a Leesburg school thing. So I've got my hands in a lot of different things here. So I also oversee the safety at Tolbert Elementary and Cool Spring. So in my morning, I try to ride by Cool Spring, and so it's a lot for a middle school SRO, because high schools usually only have the high school. Middle schools, we've got the middle school and 2 elementary schools. So it could be a lot, you know, when I get a text from somebody at another elementary school. It's like, we haven't seen you in a while. Well, I can only do so much, you know what I mean? And so that's why I rely on patrol guys that, you know, don't have a problem going by a school in the middle of the day during their patrol routes and just stopping by and doing a walkthrough. Just doing a walkthrough for me and just saying, hey, look, everything's good. Officer Carter just asked me to stop by and just kind of be visible. And that's the biggest thing, is presence. Just knowing that there's a cruiser out in front of the school can just deter whomever. There's people that, you know, obviously we live in a community, in a neighborhood, so people come over and they want to walk on the track. I have to let them know, like, the track's not open when school's in session. Potomac Station's a great walk. You can walk up and down that all you want. Just don't come on campus. What I've tried to incorporate lately into kind of my foot patrols at the end of the day is walking out to the side parking lot where the pickup is. You know, I know it sounds bad, but I have to think like a criminal a lot of times, and a predator, where if I were looking to do something, where would I go? Where it's easy access to get in and to get out, and where it's low visibility. And so our students that walk over towards Bonnie Ridge, they crest that hill and I can't see them. And so a lot of times I'll just kind of, you know, we have plenty of staff out front. I'll just kind of mosey my way over there, you know, just to kind of see if everything's good to go. You know, it's just one of those things. And I know it's hard to put yourself into that situation, into that mind frame, but you kind of have to if you want to kind of stay ahead of the game and let people know, you know, hey, look, don't come here because I'll find you, essentially. So there are 2 pieces of paper over here. I kind of wanted to touch base on internet safety. So obviously our kids have cell phones. My kid doesn't, but high school, middle school, they're starting to get to that age where social media is a big part of our life. You know, it is what it is. It's part of mainstream. It's how we communicate nowadays. A lot of kids don't even text. They just DM through Instagram. You know, please look through your kids' phones. That's your phone. Like, you own that. Like, they can't say, this is my phone. No, that's not. You're a minor. Do you pay that bill? No. My name is on that bill. You give me the phone. You have no idea how many calls our patrol guys get from parents that say they won't give me the phone back. And so when I show up, I'm like, no, you just roll up in there and take the phone. Like, that's what you do, you know. If I told my mom or dad, probably more my dad, like, no, you can't have that, it would have been the last time I ever said that. And so look through your kids' phones. So basically those sheets, it's an Apple way and an Android way to disable your internet browser. So on Apple, you can disable Safari, so where it's not even on the homepage. So they can't, if they get an email and there's a link, they can't click on it. It opens up Safari. So what I would recommend, and what a lot of our officers do who have children who are older who have iPhones or Androids, is the husband and the mother, they both get Chrome as their web browser. Set it up to where what your kids are doing, you can go and view that history. You know, Safari's not even an option. If there's a link, they have to hold down on it, copy it, and paste it into the browser of Chrome, and then you can see what's going on. There's web tracking apps out there that you can get. I know it sounds invasive, but we have to do it nowadays for our kids because their minds are still developing and they're still super vulnerable. And so someone sends them a link and they don't know what it is. They click on it and boom, there's a naked picture of a child. And now we got an issue. You know, especially if they plug that phone into their Chromebook and then a gaggle report comes up, you're going to hear from them first, and then probably me. You know, it happens. I know it sounds crazy, but it happens. It happens more frequently with the high school, but unfortunately we're seeing it start, the sexting and all that stuff start to trickle down into the middle school. It's just, our kids are growing up way too quick these days. I mean, it's just the honesty of it all. And so, more often than not, if I get involved with the sexting side of things, it's a call to the Commonwealth Attorney saying, look, here's what happened, here's what the situation was, explain it to them. More often than not, Commonwealth's going to say, get with the parents, do a master reset of the phone. And so I know it's not the greatest thing in the world for a kid, but a master reset's going to put that thing right back to where you just pulled it out of the box. There's nothing on there. Everything is gone, and they cannot access it anymore. They would lose all their contacts, that type of thing, but I would rather lose all my contacts and all my previous texts than have to go to court for a potential charge for child pornography. Unfortunately, I have had to push those limits because there were distribution charges involved with it. And unfortunately, if you're convicted of that, you're convicted as a sexual predator. And that is the most god-awful thing that I could think of as a child. Yes, ma'am?
Do you have this conversation with the kids? Because
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And middle schoolers, obviously, you know, dumb it down a little bit,
Yeah,
break
absolutely.
it down to them. But high schoolers, I mean, you're looking at potential, like, your life could be really in jeopardy here.
Sure.
Like, you know, you're talking about, you go to college, that college may not let you stay on campus.
I mean, because I could see this as a very simple, naive sort of thing, like a friend to
Absolutely.
a friend. Ha, 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 ha.
Absolutely.
And then-
Yeah, and the biggest thing that, we don't want to downplay it, but the biggest thing is that we want to make sure that that's not a student who attends our school, that this picture's getting passed around, because then you're talking about bigger things, the bullying, the major embarrassment. You know, a young lady or even a young man super embarrassed, and now they're thinking bad thoughts in their minds, like, I can't go to school, I don't want to live anymore. That is definitely not the road that we need to go down as adults and as parents to try to deal with that stuff. So have hard conversations with your kids. I know coming from I'm talking to people who have kids in middle school, and I have a kid in elementary school, you know, but doing this job for so long, I've had to have those tough conversations with kids and parents. And it's awkward, but we got to do it. The next thing is check your kids' backpacks. My kid takes Beyblades to school, so it's like, if they say no Beyblades, I'm like, do you have Beyblades in your backpack? Yeah. I was on our kitchen island the other morning pulling Beyblades out, and I looked at my wife, I was like, I feel like I'm at work right now. Like, pulling these things out, my son's like, I don't even play with those. I'm like, you can't have these. Like, you know, aside from like putting my gloves on, going through a backpack, you know, I don't need his permission, you know. But check your kids' backpacks. When they come home, you never know what you're going to find in there. And it may be the type of thing you find strikes a conversation that needs to be had. God forbid they throw a knife in there and don't even think about it. Get in trouble one day at school, and boom, now they have a knife. It's happened before. Obviously,
say
different
something there?
situations. Absolutely.
So actually, the whole time you're talking, we are so into safety and security and think about it all the time. I keep wanting to interrupt, but I've been really good at keeping my mouth closed up here. But with the backpack and things in there, we do offer the students in that beginning year assembly. We tell them about safe harbor. We do understand a student may use their backpack. Maybe they go out on a camping trip.
Right.
Maybe they leave their Boy Scout penknife in their backpack. If they remember that when they get to school, and if they haven't shown it off to anyone, because once they show it to someone, now we have other people thinking other things, and we have to investigate. But if they have that, or let's say a pack of matches from the fire pit or whatnot, if they haven't shown it off and they come into the building and they go to Josh, or they come to me, or they come to Mr. Woodard and they say, oh my gosh, I forgot, this is what happened, it's in here, here it is, we call that safe harbor. We take it, we call a parent, the parent comes and gets it, we talk about to the kid why they need to be more vigilant about what's in their backpack. But we do offer that to our students who remember and are upfront and honest about what's happening.
Absolutely. And no SRO's job is to dig up dirt on people throughout the day. Like, I'm not here to get charges on kids and ruin their lives. I'm here to be a resource if they need me, to build relationships. I was just talking to a buddy of mine who's a police officer in California who's an SRO. And he's like, this is like the hidden gem of the department, because you can build relationships with kids, develop a positive relationship. They're going to move on. You have that relationship with them. So that's what this position is about. It is not about walking around and showing enforcement or making these kids feel like, you know, they should feel scared of me. I make the joke all the time, most of these kids are my size anyway, so I get lost in the crowd when they hit the hallway. So I want them to be able to walk up and give me high fives and joke around. You know, I had kids the other day, I could hear them whisper behind me, pull his gloves out, because I carry my gloves in my back pocket. And so I just kept walking, and so I kept doing this as they were walking behind me. You could hear them giggling, this and that, and so, you know, and when they were done, I was like, if someone can pull my gloves and me not know it, I will buy you lunch. And so now there's these two boys every day. Like, they will try. And so I'll see them out of the corner of my eye, and like, they got my head on a swivel now. So now they got me. If they pull my gloves out, I got to get them lunch. So it's stuff like that to have fun with these kids and let them know, like, look, I'm a regular person too. Like, underneath all of this, I still like to have fun. I still probably listen to the same music that most of these kids do. And so, you know, I love being here. This is a great staff. You guys are extremely fortunate to have a staff like this. You know, they welcome me in with open arms, not knowing me, and pretty much allow me to just do my thing. So I know there's other stuff that I'm missing, but I'm sure the questions will bring that up.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. We have about 15 more minutes of your time. If you would like to ask us some questions, we can try to entertain those then. Go ahead.
So I know of the do not call registry. Is there like a do not text registry? Because I get my daughter's text on my phone,
Right.
iPhone, and I'm getting text to my phone that she's getting. Like yesterday we got like, obviously it was spam, hey, you won a new iPhone 11. Click on this link.
Right.
So is there a way to block text like that?
That I'm not 100% sure of. I've never had that. I mean,
I would go through your cell phone service carrier.
yeah, see if
Okay.
And
there's
ask them
something
how
there.
you can, because that's a business nuisance kind of
Yeah.
thing, right? It can
Yes.
help you otherwise, I get that, but
Right.
I would ask them, you know, how that might work.
Can I ask what you're using, so other parents, because I know. the-
Yeah,
the
that's-
app-
T-Mobile. Yeah, so T-Mobile.
No, what's the app where you
What
get
app?
the other texts
So
from
you
your
see
kid?
your daughter's text
Oh,
messages.
so it's like we have the same iTunes account,
Oh,
and
I
then
see.
when you activate it, so we have it on all our phones. I get all
Yep.
of her texts. She doesn't get mine, so I definitely highly recommend that.
As
Absolutely.
a dean, I recommend
Yes.
you can pay for some apps. I
Mhm.
totally recommend cloning your child's phone.
Yep.
And
Absolutely. Yeah.
particularly middle school, I totally recommend it.
And he has 5 kids, so he's no solution.
It would save you a lot of,
It sure does. Except
headache.
the case where that text went to my number and she got it, and everybody wants an iPhone 11, so you know she's gonna click that link.
Absolutely.
And I told her not to. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. There's more questions. I know there's
Yeah,
more
what else?
questions.
Well, I have a kind of a little question. You're Leesburg.
Yes, ma'am.
The Safe to Talk is a Loudoun County Sheriff's Office app?
The sheriff's office developed it, but
Okay.
we share it through
Right.
agency.
If you
Okay,
read
so-
down through there, it says LPD too.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess whose jurisdiction is the school? Is it Leesburg
So-
or is it shared?
It is Leesburg.
Okay.
However, Loudoun County has jurisdiction over all Loudoun County schools. Basically, what happens is they allow us to police in the town because we are the town police.
Yeah.
If there's a major incident that goes on, more than likely Loudoun will come and assist with incident command because of their resources. They have many more resources.
Right.
So they they will assist us in, crime scene investigation, processing, that type of stuff. But all those things will go through the sheriff's office app, and then they will be directed back towards us if it's a
I guess
town school.
because my question was always, well, if I'm involved in something, who do I
Well,
contact? Who
if
do I-
you
do I
are-
do the sheriff's, or do I do
Yeah.
Leesburg, not knowing?
If you're in the town, it would be us. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with your address, correct me if I'm wrong, but for Harper Park, we have people who live in the town of Leesburg, and mostly your house address is a 3-digit number, right?
In the town.
In the
Right.
town, for the town of Leesburg. If you have a
Right.
5-digit number
Yeah.
outside, then your Loudoun County
Okay.
Sheriff's Department, that's
Got
who
it.
would be responding if you call them after school hours.
Yeah, to
Okay,
your
right?
to your
To your
house.
home.
Yep.
Yes.
And that kind of stuff even works for like Ida Lee, like to be a
Right.
town resident, if you wanna
Right.
get the discount, is a
Right.
3-digit address.
So if you're
Yes.
reporting something after hours, then it would go to wherever you live. If we're reporting something here, it's gonna go through Josh.
I can tell you that if you report it and you do have the county address and the sheriff's office does show up and you're reporting something that happened here, they will probably just kick it
Right.
over to Leesburg.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
just call
I'm
one
just
of
thinking
us.
of like, oh, I'm at Giant and there's some suspicious something, and I'm going, well, I know that we're kind of on that line, cause I'm a 5-digit, this is 3-digit.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know who the right person to contact
Yeah, and,
is.
and just call.
They'll help you.
If
Yeah.
you just call and
Yeah.
they'll transfer you to whomever. Because
Yeah.
even if it kicks you over to the sheriff's office, they'll say, well, let me transfer you over to the town.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
question, for the cameras, like I see a camera here in the library and the camera when you come in, but for the perimeter of the school, are there cameras that cover every square inch?
There's a camera. There's a camera right at the door
Sure.
where you buzz in. There's a camera at the other end of the vestibule. There's cameras on each corner. I mean,
So there are no
and I
blind
can
spots?
move them. I can move them if I want to. There's 2 cameras. One that will show over to the blacktop basketball court, and then another one that'll show over to the wood line right behind the Clarendon Inn, the soccer court, soccer fields. Pretty much every corner is covered.
I have to tell you, in the last year and a half, the new security systems that they have put in place here at Loudoun County Public Schools far surpass what
Oh,
we've had in the past.
yeah.
The camera use is so much easier if we have an incident or think we have an incident. The ability to go in and move those cameras to the exact spot where we might need to zoom in on something is much quicker than it used to be. And like you say, we have a lot more cameras in different places available, even as far as safety and security. We have light wall packs outside because the security runs 24/7. If those lights are out, I get a notification the very next morning that someone was here at 3 and noticed I've got